Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're really getting into a fascinating personal story. It's about the journey of a man who reverted to Islam.
Yeah, and it's a path that didn't start where you might expect, not with like deep religious feeling, but actually um, deep isolation, financial stress.
Right, and then this incredibly rigorous, like 6-month intellectual investigation into world religions.
Exactly. Our mission here is to trace that journey. It's kind of complex, sometimes contradictory even.
Uh,
We're looking at how it starts with him living in his car, doom scrolling online,
mhm.
moves through this, like you said, almost self-directed university course on comparative religion.
Yeah.
And then the final push comes from something really, really human, the promise of free food.
It sounds almost unbelievable when you put it like that, but it
Right.
really highlights how, I guess, intellectual belief needs that human, that community element to actually, stick.
Absolutely. And the context for this whole thing, it really sets the scene, doesn't it? Summer of 2023.
Right. And he wasn't just looking for spiritual answers. He was, well, struggling financially, trying to make money with NFTs, crypto, that whole volatile world.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
And that financial pressure seems to have led to this really radical decision, this experiment in isolation.
Spending 3 months just traveling the West Coast, living out of his car.
Yeah, driving Interstate 5 down to LA, it was a deliberate choice, trying to isolate himself to, as he put it, see the world for what it is without all the usual noise.
Wow. So he was alone, searching for direction, literally on the road. That must have been intense.
He mentions moments of, emotional struggle, definitely searching.
Okay, so I'm trying to connect the dots here. He's alone in a car trying to make crypto cash. How does he jump from that to suddenly studying, Abrahamic faiths? What's the bridge?
Well, it wasn't a book or lecture or anything like that.
Yeah.
The sources say the catalyst was, believe it or not, a TikTok video.
A TikTok video, seriously.
Yeah. He was doom scrolling, you know how it is. And this was peak Andrew Tate time, apparently. He sees this video from an account called Shemin.
And it was using some kind of like dark humor, a cultural comparison.
That's it, the martial arts thing, right? Kung Fu for Chinese, BJJ for Brazilians.
And then it asks about Muslims, and his immediate thought, kind of reflecting the online meme, was terrorism.
Exactly. But here's the twist. Instead of just scrolling past or getting offended, that controversial spark actually made him curious, intellectually curious.
Okay.
So he starts watching more videos from this creator, the DA videos. And he found himself thinking, wait a minute, this stuff about existence, about life's purpose,
Hmm.
it's actually like speaking facts.
Huh. So it resonated despite the edgy delivery.
It seems so. He said it just made sense. And for someone searching like he was, that was enough. It pushed him, as he says, into the rabbit hole of just discovering and researching.
And this is where the serious study begins. It wasn't just casual Googling. After those 3 months of isolation, he committed, what, a full 6 months?
Yeah, 6 months. And it wasn't just Islam. He deliberately set out to compare Judaism, Christianity, Sikhism, Hinduism, a proper deep dive.
He wasn't looking to convert necessarily, but to understand, to verify.
He said he was trying to connect all the dots. And what's really striking is the intellectual honesty he describes. He emphasizes needing to seek knowledge, to challenge your own opinions, even the ones you feel sure about.
So he was prepared to ditch his existing views if the evidence pointed elsewhere.
That's the impression, yeah. He went in ready to really test everything.
Okay, so after all that comparative work, 6 months of intense study,
Right.
what was it about Islam specifically that clicked for him, saying it made sense, feels a bit vague after that level of effort?
Well, the core intellectual piece, the thing that really formed the foundation for him, was the Quran itself.
How so?
He concluded Islam was the truth because it offered for him a kind of philosophical clarity. And he points to the Quran's its boldness. It issues this challenge, right, to the reader. Make something like of it.
Like find a flaw, challenge its coherence.
Essentially, yeah. Daring you to find an intellectual contradiction, which for him reinforced this idea that God is not the author of confusion.
Meaning, if it's true, it should stand up to scrutiny. It should be open to challenge.
Exactly. So his conviction wasn't, blind faith. It sounds like it was really forged in those 6 months of testing and questioning.
Right. A faith built on evidence, or at least intellectual satisfaction for him. But, okay, even with that solid conclusion, he then hits this phase, the cherry-picking stage. We all know that one, right?
Oh, yeah. The gap between knowing and doing. He accepted the good things intellectually, but he was still mixing it with, the desires of the dunya, the world, choosing convenience or desire over what he now believed he should do.
So he knew it intellectually, but life hadn't quite caught up.
Pretty much. He admits his heart felt conflicted then. He wasn't happy with that compromise between his beliefs and his actions.
So what breaks the deadlock? What gets him from intellectual assent to actual practice?
It's almost comical. A friend from college invites him to the masjid, the mosque, for halakas, these Islamic study sessions.
And his first reaction is predictable avoidance.
Totally. Nah, man, I'm busy. Got exams. You know the drill.
But wait, hang on. This whole thing starts with this intense, solitary quest for truth. And now you're saying the thing that actually gets him into the community is free food. Doesn't that feel a bit anticlimactic? Or does it just show how human we are?
I think it's that brilliant paradox you mentioned earlier. The friend knew the intellectual battle was won. The next step was community, was practice. So he plays the trump card.
Okay, but if you still want to come, there's free food tomorrow.
And boom, intellectual rigor just melts away in the face of basic human need.
The response was immediate.
Instant. Okay, what time? Walks in, asks, so where's the food at? But then something else happens.
He notices the atmosphere.
Yeah. Says the place smelled nice, felt peaceful, and crucially, he kept showing up.
5 weeks straight, just for the food initially.
That's what he says. Showed up on time, every time. Motivated by the meal. But while he was there, he started, participating. Joining the prayer, copying the guy next to him, even if he jumped in late during sujood, the prostration.
Okay, so the food got him in the door, but the earlier study laid the groundwork.
Exactly. That's the key. By the second, third, fourth week, he's listening to the discussions and realizing, hey, wait, I already learned this stuff. The knowledge was there.
He just needed the community, the structure, the practice.
Precisely. The free food wasn't trivial. It was the bridge from theory to practice, facilitated by community.
And then there's one final nudge.
Yeah, from the same friend. He mentions thinking about getting a tattoo, knowing it's haram, forbidden.
Uh-oh.
And the friend hits him with that classic powerful reminder, you never know, man, you might die tomorrow before you get a chance to ask forgiveness.
Wow, that cuts through the procrastination.
It really did. That fear, that risk of dying before committing fully, that was it. The very next day, after the session, after he ate,
Puts his plate down.
walks up to the sheikh, the leader, and takes his shahada, declares his faith. The free food brought him in, the knowledge kept him, and that final reminder sealed the deal.
Incredible. So now he's officially converted. But the real challenge, socially speaking, is just beginning, right? He mentions the biggest fear before converting wasn't theology.
No, it was fear of judgment. What would people think? How would family react? The risk of being shunned out, losing everything familiar because he changed his life in an instant.
And that fear was real. He hid it from his own mother for 6 months.
A full 6 months. Think about Ramadan. He's sneaking out at 2 a.m. for tahajjud, the late-night prayers, and she probably thinks he's up to no good.
The effort involved in hiding that.
Immense. And when he finally told her, her reaction was kind of what he expected, wasn't it? Protective, worried. Lou, don't do that stuff.
Yeah, worried about him, maybe the implications, the isolation.
But then something shifted. She started seeing the difference in him.
The positive changes.
Exactly. She noticed he became more laid back, calm, more respectful. Basically, he was embodying the positive character traits encouraged in the faith.
And that tangible change won her over. She saw the growth.
It seems that way. She eventually accepted it because the proof was right there in his improved character.
That change in character, though, it came with a huge personal cost. The hardest sacrifice he mentions. Ending a 4-year relationship.
Yeah, that's profound. 4 years of shared history. That's not just about following rules. That's deep personal pain.
What was the reasoning there? Was it purely theological?
It sounds like it stemmed directly from his studies. He learned about the rights and responsibilities within an Islamic marriage for both husband and wife.
Okay.
And applying that knowledge honestly to his situation, he concluded that his partner, well, she wasn't actually treating me the way I want a good woman should treat me, based on those principles he now held.
So he chose the path he believed was right, even over that long-term relationship. Wow.
A massive decision. And alongside that, other lifestyle changes came immediately, stopping haram activities.
Like music. He stopped immediately.
Right away. His reasoning was interesting. He didn't want external things like music to dictate the way I want to feel in the moment. He wanted internal, spiritual stability.
Prioritizing inner state over outer influence. Okay. Which leads us to this paradox of community he talks about.
Yeah, on the one hand, his favorite thing about Islam is the ummah, the global community, that sense of belonging.
But on the other hand, this intense loneliness and isolation that many reverts face, especially if they don't have Muslim family or friends nearby.
It's a huge struggle.
Yeah.
The sources mention specific gaps, like difficulties in finding marriage partners.
Stigma because of their background.
Sometimes, yeah. Particularly, he notes, with families in Western or Asian cultures. Maybe a lack of trust, a feeling they aren't stable enough yet.
And also this pressure for reverts to sometimes downplay or even sacrifice their own cultural identity to fit into established community circles.
He mentions that too. And that combined pressure, that struggle for belonging, can sadly push some reverts away, back towards isolation.
But here's another fascinating insight. He finds a spiritual benefit in that very isolation, even though it hurts. Spending Ramadan alone, for instance.
Right. He views it as a test, a jihad, a struggle.
How does that work? How is loneliness beneficial?
He believes it builds character. It forces you into a more direct, unmediated relationship with Allah, with God.
Yeah.
There's no one else there, you know,
So it strengthens faith, your iman, precisely because it's hard.
provided you approach it with the right mindset, yeah. Seeing it as growth, maintaining gratitude despite the difficulty, it becomes spiritually strengthening.
That perspective definitely informs how he approaches relationships now. He's hyper-diligent, very picky about friends.
Extremely. He has this strong belief that your friends literally determine your future, influencing you right up to Judgment Day.
So what are his criteria? What makes the cut for his inner circle?
He lists 3 key things. First, someone who reminds you of Allah, but softly.
Not the haram police.
Exactly. Gentle reminders, not aggressive judgment. Second, someone who's just fundamentally decent, respectful, kind, honest, but also ready for action, loyal, has your back.
Practical trustworthiness.
Right. And third, maybe the most important,
Hmm.
someone who can both give and receive real, genuine criticism, offered from a place of love, not ego.
Because that's the advice you'll actually take on board when you're messing up.
That's the idea. Constructive challenge from someone you trust implicitly.
That same intellectual rigor seems to apply even to the really deep theological stuff. He mentions struggling with free will versus predestination, that age-old question.
The big one, yeah. If everything's already written your provision, say you're destined to get $20,000, then what's the point of trying? Does free will even matter?
So how did he square that circle?
The understanding he came to is, well, nuanced. Allah knows what you will do, and yes, it's written. But crucially, Allah hasn't decided it for you.
So divine foreknowledge isn't the same as divine puppetry?
That's a good way to put it. The writing reflects knowledge, not coercion. Your free will comes into play in how you react, how you pursue that written destiny.
Ah, so the $20 K might be written.
But do you get it through the patient, difficult, halal way? Or do you take the easy, tempting, haram shortcut? That choice, the path you take, that's where your free will, your struggle, your agency lies.
That makes sense. It places the responsibility back on your choices within the known framework. What an incredible arc. From that lonely car journey through the intense study, the free food catalyst, the huge personal sacrifices.
It really is remarkable. And his #1 piece of advice for new converts, it perfectly sums up his whole approach.
Which is?
Don't stop questioning it. Keep challenging the religion.
Because if it's true,
it should withstand any challenge. And that constant testing, that's what builds what he calls a concrete faith. Something solid that won't crumble under pressure or doubt.
it connects back to that initial point about the Quran welcoming challenge.
Absolutely. And if we broaden that out, the final thought he wanted to share, his message to everyone was, don't stop at one thing. Question everything.
That's a challenge for all of us, isn't it? It makes you think. What's that one core belief you hold, the one you rely on, that you haven't really pressure tested recently?
Maybe it's time to take a page from his book. Start asking why you believe what you believe with that same kind of intellectual honesty.